viewers of The Pioneer, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and happy. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share with you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. In a moment, we will share with you a wonderful news for Ukraine, but a very unsettling news for the Russian Federation. Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, who has been trying to wage a great propaganda war since the beginning of the war, has now begun to lose all this power because they claim that the Russian people, the most powerful of these propaganda, support Putin, has been completely refuted. So allegedly, troops of the Free Russian Legion are preparing a new operation. And again, according to the Free Russian Legion sources, it is a matter of time because before this operation begins. And of course, this situation has become a bit customary. However, the situation will not be limited to this because a large number of Russian citizens had joined the Free Russian Legion. Even these allegations were enough to increase fear in the Kremlin palace, and the allegations are quite terrible for Russia. So what are the latest information about the Free Russian Legion and the Russian citizens who joined the Legion? Let's take a look at developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share our reports on Russia-Ukraine war with you, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the Super Thanks button below the videos. Thank you for your support. Let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. One of the most important subjects of the war between Russia and Ukraine is undoubtedly Russian citizens who have decided to fight on the side of Ukraine. The very existence of these names frightens the Russian administration because one of the most important pillars of the Russian administration's propaganda war is eliminated in this way. One of the most striking data in the propaganda process of the Russian administration was undoubtedly the unconditional support of the Russian people for Vladimir Putin. So, Russian sources claiming to have secured this support were trying to legitimize the attempts to invade Ukraine in the eyes of the Russian people. However, this endeavor did not bear fruit. So, Russian citizens have repeatedly appeared on front of the line as anti-Russians, but moreover, they were not limited to this. They have repeatedly attempted sabotage against the Russian army and the Russian administration within the borders of Russia. In this process, the Russian administration always claimed that these people were not Russian citizens because the Putin administration did not want to show that the Russian citizens had an opposing view to him. But now, the truth has come out. Russian citizens stand openly against Putin. Recently, the Free Russian Legion has published a new report on this issue. So the report published by the Free Russian Legion contains many different information. The headlines that attract attention in the report in question are as follows. We will drag Putin out of the Kremlin at the point of our bayonets and burn him in the flames of revolution. Putin has left Russian citizens no choice but to drag him out of the Kremlin at the point of the bayonets, and then we will proceed along this path. How to start the revolution? The important thing is to start. There are many disconnected people in Russia, and the regime is mostly supported by police, buttons, and repression by the special services. Only armed rebels like us can resist them. We are the spark that ignites the fire of rebellion. Think of our regular visits to the border regions of Russia as an attempt to fan the fire. One day, this fire will blaze in full force and turn into a forest fire that will burn Putin. Dozens of armored vehicles have been destroyed or rendered unusable. Hundreds of Putin's soldiers have been killed or wounded. Unfortunately, we also have the casualties, but this is a war. This was the largest raid of the Free Russian Legion forces since the beginning of the Great War in 2022. 3 units of the Russian volunteers also participated in it, and our numbers are growing steadily. More and more Russian citizens are applying to join us, and we are analyzing them all. It is clear that the war has not brought any benefits to Russia, seeing these Russian citizens no longer want to be here. Instead, they come together with us to end the war. We all have one ambition. In the future, there will be more and more, and we will be able to solve even more complex military political problems. And there are at least 2 clusters that make us the US opposition. There is the classic old opposition, which sits Europe and organizes various conferences and famous of varying degrees of usefulness. And this means migration, albeit mostly not opposition, but anti-Putin. And there is a new opposition. We are this armed resistance. So if the old opposition supports us more effectively than now, not only politically, but also in terms of infrastructure and resources, then the synergy of our cooperation will become a big problem for the Kremlin regime. And this process is already taking place. For example, volunteers are being actively supported by Gary Kasparov's Free Russian Front and the Ivanov Ponomarov Congress of People's Deputies. So the statements from the Free Russia Legion clearly show that the Russian army and the Russian leadership are in a difficult situation. It is quite serious that more and more Russian citizens are turning into the opposition side. So there is not much that Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, can do at this point. And the opposition is growing day by day. Moreover, Russian citizens are now deciding to leave the country and fight on the side of Ukraine. So the attitude of the Russian people is changing, and Vladimir Putin is becoming more and more cornered. According to the allegations, in the coming days, the Russian opposition may start a new action activity on the Russian territory. So according to these allegations, the main focus of the actions will be to invite Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, to resign. If these allegations are true, we can say that Russia is waiting for quite complicated days. So, in our previous reports, I've shared with you the actions and protests carried out by the Russian people. As you know, these demonstrations that took place before were mostly related to local events. However, these allegations are quite serious. Vladimir Putin will have to face a big problem if these allegations are serious. However, we know that even in smaller actions, the Russian police's method of suppressing actions is quite harsh. For this reason, in such protests, the events become bigger and the police intervention is likely to become even more violent. So, of course, with the increase in police violence, the internal turmoil in Russia will grow and the social opposition will become more tightly knit. For Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, this would be a major disaster. But for the Ukrainian army, which continues to resist, this is a good news. We will only see this process clearly in time. However, even just the introduction of these allegations has made Vladimir Putin very uncomfortable. So what do you think? How do you think the participation of the Russian citizens in the opposition ranks will affect the ongoing war? And how do you evaluate the statements made by the Free Russian Legion? Do you think that anti-Putin demonstrators will really start? And how will these demonstrations end? And can the unification of the social opposition pave the way for changes in Russia? Let me know in the comments, because you know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments.